by this group of men to come back.
USA on one. USA!
Third gold in a row. Rio, Tokyo, and now Paris.
Coming to you from the Olympic City, Colorado Springs, Colorado, this is the USA Volleyball Show. And here's your host, Stephen Munson.
Hello and welcome to the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball. I'm your host, Stephen Munson, and in today's episode, we're talking beach volleyball with an incredibly experienced veteran with the U.S. beach national team and Olympian during his time with Team Canada, Chaim Schalk. So excited to get to that conversation, but before we do, some housekeeping. If you haven't listened to our last episode, hit download on your favorite podcast right now. Check it out after you finish this one. We have four-time Paralympic medalist Kaleo Kanahilu-McClay on to talk all things sitting volleyball, the growth of the sport, goals for the program after capturing the last 3 Paralympic gold medals, and much, much more. Amazing conversation with an amazing person and athlete. You're not going to want to miss it. Listen to it now on all podcast platforms. The U.S. men's national team is returning to Now Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois for the 2026 Volleyball Nations League on July 15th through the 19th. Listen to this pool. It's insane. We got Poland, we got Brazil, we got France, USA, of course, Bulgaria, and China. 5 of those are currently in the top 10 in the world rankings. That week is lining up to be insane, and it's right here in the U.S. You won't want to miss it. Witness world-class international volleyball like you've never seen before. Tickets sold out last year, so don't wait. Secure yours today at go.usav, as in volleyball.org/2626 VNL tickets. That's go.usav.org/2626 VNL tickets. And we'll see you this summer. All right, on to today's episode. Olympian and U.S. beach national team member Chaim Schalk joins us to talk about his background in volleyball, when he found the love for the sport for the first time, his time competing for Team Canada, and the decision to switch federations and compete for USA. Excitement for the new redesigned unified training model as well that the U.S. beach national team is rolling out this year, and much, much more. So let's get right into it. Here is Chaim Schalk. Chaim, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to have you on the podcast. We were just talking off screen that you and I met before Tokyo, so it's been a long time since we've got to catch up. So I'm excited to do that on this episode here.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. I'm excited to be here. I love what you guys do, and creating more stories and showing more of what we do and what we're like is pretty important for everyone. So let's jump into it.
I saw this when you posted it, but a while back, a couple weeks ago, you and James announced that you will be continuing your partnership for the 2026 season. What's Team Schalk and Shaw going to bring in 2026, and then looking ahead to LA?
Yeah, so it's been a great couple of years with James. I think we've proven that we've been improving a lot, and obviously one of the top teams in the U.S. We finished last season with a 5th at World Championships, which was the top of all the U.S. guys, and I think yeah, our team, we keep getting better, and especially with this whole new system with the USA Volleyball implementing, we're going to have more eyes on us and more coaching, and I think I love our team. I think we have really good pieces. James super dynamic. He's got a huge jump serve, scores points. And then I'm obviously a little bit older now, but I'm the steady guy in the back and ball control player. And I think we complement each other really well. And I've seen that over the last couple of years, just the chemistry continue to build and grow together. And I think it's such a huge part of beach volleyball is being able to relate with your partner and have a good relationship where you trust each other and can continue to grow. And obviously, after last season, we took a little break. I actually had a hip surgery and James has been and was training alone or with other people, and we didn't know how long my recovery is going to be. So obviously, like some things I was telling him, like, hey man, I know like if you need to do other things or pick up another guy for a while or do whatever you need to do, like do what's best for you in your career and we'll figure it out. And ultimately we decided that's, both of us fit really well together, and we've got a great shot at LA. And I think if we continue to improve the way we have, we've got a good chance to become a top team in the world and win medals. And that's the goal. So long story short, it's been great and excited to keep learning and growing.
I'm happy to hear that you were able to continue the partnership even through the injury, because, a lot of times, partners have a good thing going and then the injury hits, and unfortunately you got to go different ways to, keep earning those points towards Olympic qualification. But that's awesome to hear that you and James were able to kind of stick it through the injury, and don't have to get through too deep into it, but your hip's feeling okay? You're ready for the season?
Yeah. So yeah, it's feeling really good now. I had a surgery in December. The last few months of the season I just had a lot of hip issues with my adductor and labrum and hip flexor, and there were some tears. And I went to Vail, Colorado, saw Dr. Philippon, who's like probably the best hip surgeon in the world, and he cleaned it up super nicely. And it's been 9 or 10 weeks now, and jumping, feeling really good. I'm still working through the cardio part of it of lasting a full 2 hours. But yeah, as of this week, I'm starting to compete against teams, and then we still have about a month before our first event together. So yeah, recovery's been quick, way faster than I'm supposed to be back, and which was kind of the plan all along, but feel really good. And this should give me a few more really good years, hopefully, to play.
Well, if you're going to see a doctor, you're going to go do surgery. Vail, Colorado is not a bad place to go do that. It's beautiful there.
So nice.
You talked a little bit about the on the court chemistry and how you and James kind of complement each other's games, but what about off the court? What do you guys like to do off the court? How's the chemistry when you're off the beach?
Yeah, we're both pretty chill guys. Good buddies. I think we, obviously there's not a ton to do when you're on the road, but the nice part is that we both love food. So we like finding good restaurants, but then also my fiance, Toni, and then his wife, Molly, are partners. So going back to a year and a half ago, we were kind of all traveling together. And so we all kind of will do stuff together, makes it a little easier. And just create good team vibes and support each other. And he's super easy. James is super easy to room with, hang out with, watch a movie with, take care of video, whatever. We're both professionals, right? So I know that he's putting in the work. He knows that I'm putting in the work. So we don't really have a lot of issues off the court. I would say we kind of know where each other are at. And if ever one of us needs something, we'll just kind of pick up the phone or we'll figure it out. That's kind of the main stuff. But it's been super easy. And it's been something for me, it's that finding that chemistry is one of the main things to enjoy a partnership and to want to keep wanting to play. I'm 39 years old now, and I've been playing on tour since 2009. So it's been a long run, but the most important part is having a guy that you can enjoy being around with on the court and off the court. Cause sometimes you're out there for a month straight and the days get a little long sometimes, I'd say.
For sure. Yeah. Important. Yeah. Long days. It's important to find something to kind of decompress a little bit. And cool that you guys enjoy food and then movies as well. Do you have similar movie taste, or is there a movie that you throw on in the hotel room, just in the background as you guys are kind of talking through your game plan?
We actually don't do a ton of movies. Maybe I said that wrong, but we are kind of both into the same type of comedy though, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
We both love Seinfeld, and so that's kind of what we throw on when we're just rolling out in the room, stretching out, love that film or whatever. But something to watch a couple episodes right before you go to sleep or whatever. That's got to be the go-to. But we both like laughing and funny movies too. But the one that comes to mind for sure is Seinfeld.
That's awesome. That's a good one for sure, especially to have on in the background, and can kind of tune in and out of that one pretty easily as well. Well, you mentioned you and James, your significant others as well, are also partners, and they just announced their partnership as well. Molly Shaw and then Toni Rodriguez as well. And congratulations to you on your recent engagement with Toni. But I guess just dive in a little bit. Give us the little story of the engagement. How did that go?
Yeah. So thank you, first of all. But we kind of made a last minute trip to Kauai, about a month ago, probably now. And we did that last year as well. My brother lives there. So we kind of sometimes, personally, I always go there a couple times, 2-3 times a year, just to kind of get out and experience the nature and have the beauty. Like, I just love Hawaii. And we did it last year, loved the trip. And then a few days before, basically 3 or 4 days, I was like, hey, there's decent flights. I'm booking this weekend because we got nothing going on. And then Toni was all fired up. So we went to Hawaii and basically set up this kind of hike. My nephews kind of ran way ahead and set up this like little beautiful, I don't know, you probably seen it on my Instagram, but the swing, and then there was obviously like,
Yeah.
we had the flowers and the rosé, and took her down. She had no idea that it was coming. She had an idea that it was going to come eventually, but she wasn't sure if it was going to come in that trip or whatever. But did a good enough job surprising her in probably one of the most beautiful places you can be. So it worked out really well. And yeah, we're really excited. Obviously, hard to plan a wedding with the way the season is unfolding and figuring out what the schedule is in the fall with new stuff from the World Tour. And then there's obviously all the AVP stuff. And then it's just busy. But yeah, we will get around to figuring out a date and all that set up. But pretty excited for now.
For sure. Yeah, I was actually just going back. I know I'd seen the photos, but yeah, that swing and just the view, like, you can't beat that. That's amazing. That's cool. You had your nephews involved to kind of run ahead and set that up for you. That's funny.
Thankfully, my brother Jabin knows the island so well. So him and his wife, they just were like, "This could be a perfect spot for you." Like, all right,
They had already scoped it out. They were ready.
yeah, make it easy.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you said, I mean, even before this, all four of you were traveling together and getting to experience just the tour, and then, also just personal time all together as well. But I guess, yeah, what's the competitive nature between the two partnerships, or, between you and Toni and James and Molly, or vice versa, you and James and then Toni and Molly? What's the competitive spirit you guys have with all four of y'all?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, we've never really like played a game against each other or anything, or like volleyball wise, we kind of keep it more business like, I would say, and kind of generally leave the volleyball for the volleyball. Then off the court, we kind of keep it off a little bit, I would say. But I think all I would really say is that, like, all four of us are super competitive. It would be very interesting if we played a match against each other because it actually, it works out pretty well with a blocker, or no, I guess, yeah, blocker, defender, and right side, left side, right side, left side. It's hilarious how it all works out. I have to feel like a feature match just to see what happens. But they'd be nasty, and I think so would we. So there's a few others that could be pretty good battles as well. We should create a tournament, significant others event.
Oh my gosh, that's an incredible idea. That's so good. Need like a Valentine's Day, like around there, maybe something like that in SoCal. That's a great idea. All right, we're gonna pocket that one for USA Volleyball. We'll talk to April Ross and Matt Furbringer about that one. I had another. Oh yeah, just, I mean, from, they're a new partnership, Toni and Molly. Just from, you being a professional beach volleyball athlete, how does that partnership look in your eyes, and how excited and fired up are you to watch them compete together on the tour this season?
Yeah, super excited. They played together briefly when me and James were first playing on the World Tour as well, but they ended up getting like 3 medals. And that was kind of the whole story of like how me and Toni got close, was kind of on that November trip of 2024 November trip. It was like 4 weeks straight on the world. We were like China, India, Philippines, and watching them. We watched a lot of their matches because we were just hanging out with them the whole time. And they were so good together. Their chemistry, they just stayed super calm the whole time. to get 3 medals in a row like that was just kind of wild to watch. I think they're just like built to play together. They, Molly's super good in the back, smart player who has a good offense. So, and Toni will help her out because I think she's one of the best blockers. Like in terms of her hands and how she moves and reads the play. I think they're going to be very dynamic, but then also like a team that's really smart. So I'm excited. James, I'm sure, is excited, but it'll be fun to kind of cheer them on while we're on the road together. And kind of an interesting dynamic that obviously is going to be a bit new for all of us too. But I think it's exciting, and we'll make the most of it, and just support each other and see how we all do. It's going to be an interesting storyline. It'd be just really cool. Like, could you imagine if we all made it LA? Like, how cool!
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah,
but it's not about that. It's about our team and figuring out what me and James need. But it would just be like a pretty cool cherry on top if something like that happened.
Well, and when that happens, we will clip out that audio from this podcast and use it for that later. That's so cool. Well, congratulations again on the engagement, and super excited to see both you and James, and then of course Molly and Toni as well, compete on the tour this season. And it's going to be exciting to watch as we look ahead to LA too. Just the whole beach volleyball landscape, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the beach volleyball landscape is awesome in the U.S. right now, and things that are changing. I'm sure you have questions about that as well, but I'm excited for all the changes and how the sport is growing. And with us hosting the Olympics, it's such a good opportunity just to kind of help grow the game. And me being kind of the oldest guy on tour now, basically, especially in the U.S., one of the oldest in the world too, it's just cool to kind of be at that point in my career to see it grow, hopefully, and then to give back a little bit as much as I can.
Yeah, the growth of the sport is certainly exciting, and LA, just the whole Los Angeles and just California being a hotbed for beach volleyball and volleyball in general too, with our indoor teams. That's their home for their training centers as well too. So. Yeah. It's really cool and exciting, and definitely I have some stuff I want to get into talking to you about just with USA beach volleyball specifically. But before we get into that, would like to just take a little step back and just hear how you were introduced to the game of volleyball. I know you kind of started on the indoor side, and then how did you kind of get into beach volleyball as well?
Yeah, basically. It's a long story. Long story short, grew up with four brothers in Canada on an acreage, and everybody kind of in my hometown school, like volleyball was a big sport. It was the big sport, and so kind of grew up when I was like 10 or 11 wanting to play volleyball. My older brothers were all playing volleyball, and then we'd have a grass court in our yard in the summer, so I would sometimes get to play with my older brothers. A lot of times I wasn't allowed to play because I was too young, but then kind of had to learn by being the little kid on the court and not being served ever. They're like, well, you can play, but you don't get to get served ever. So then I had that my brothers, and then eventually I got to start playing, but it gave me a bit of a hunger and drive to be like, you guys aren't letting me play. Like, I want to play. Like, I want to do this. And so growing up in that kind of environment was really good for me. Competitive wise, it's like, you want to just beat your brothers. So I became kind of competitive at a young age because of that. And then started playing indoor. When I was like 13, 14 years old on teams in the school, and then gradually just loved the game, played a lot. But then eventually when I got to high school, we all had convinced my dad to build a beach court in the backyard. So we turned that grass court, dug it all out, found and he didn't have, my parents didn't have a lot of money. So it was like a big investment. And so we got the truck to bring in a bunch of sand. But then we did all the leveling, all the making of the court, and like worked super hard to make it. And then basically every day after school, you train indoor, and then we go home and play beach at night. And it was a cool setup, and it made me
so cool.
It made me love the beach. So even though I was still playing indoor, and then going into college, like I played at Red Deer College and then at Trinity Western University, two of the best schools in the country for sure, indoor wise. Played as a setter there, both places, and then. But the entire time I was playing a lot of beach in the summer and just loving the game. And then And then kind of like was deciding, should I go try to play pro or should I go try to play beach? And then I ended up like was not on the radar at all for national team stuff for beach, or like playing internationally was like a maybe. Like I've never had a coach in my life. I'm like at this point like 22, 21, 22. And I basically like sent an email to the national team beach in Toronto and basically was like, could I get a tryout? I love beach volleyball and I've done pretty well. And I got a tryout, and there was a whole bunch of guys there, but I ended up like having a tournament throughout the tryouts, and they had no idea who I was. But at the very end, I won this tournament with a guy named Dan Deering who played at the last Olympics actually for Canada. We ended up doing that, and then I was like all of a sudden like, oh, like I love this. And then I made the team based on that result during that tryout. Wow. Otherwise, I would have never made the team, and I never would have pursued it, I don't think. So then basically moved to Toronto for a couple years, where like I thought it was, developing pretty well, playing some international stuff, but it was really tough because like you're training indoors half the year and you're not really getting a ton of really high level competition. So then the big change for me was 2013 when I was playing more full time, but my partner, Ben Sexton, and I decided to move to Huntington Beach and just play full time, find the Americans, get to know them and just get beat down by them and learn how to get better. Within like a few weeks, we started training with Casey Patterson and Jake Gibb, like probably 2-3 times a week because they were there as well. And then they became our training buddies and partners. And then it helped basically just playing those guys. They were so good and just made us way more confident and then growing. And then kind of my career kind of took off after that, I would say 2013, 14, 15-ish. It's a long time ago now that I think about it right now, but yeah, that's the basic of me becoming a volleyball player, I guess.
Yeah, definitely found some good training buddies right away there with Casey and Jake. That's so cool. And also, I mean, just amazing that all this, your whole career just started with an email to your national team coach there. I mean, like you said, you have never really pursued it otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how small. There's been a few little things that are like small little things in my life where you're like, if that one thing didn't happen that one time, I wouldn't have never pursued this. Like I would have, I was going to school to be a teacher. I probably would have just ended up being a teacher in Canada somewhere and figuring it out. And, but I loved playing and was like, is there any way that I could potentially make the Canadian national team? Like that would be kind of crazy. I dream at that point, but it is cool how it all, and like, even like the thing with my dad building a court in the yard, like if we didn't nag on him enough, there's no way I would have been anywhere close to good enough to make a team if I didn't have a court in my yard for like a few years there at least.
And your brothers too, making you set, and then you become a setter, like developing those skills early on. And that just, even just being competitive with them too, I'm sure just, skyrocketed your development as well.
Yeah,
I read about the beach court on your Wikipedia page. I was going to bring it up and see if that was actually true. That's so cool. And cool that you got to build it yourself too. Like the sand got brought in, but you kind of had to put the work in to make it to make the court, right?
Yeah, I mean we were farm boys, so we had cows and calves and pigs and chickens, and so we would work no matter what every day after school. So adding a beach court after that was no big deal. We were like, okay, we're just going to grind it out. And it was tough though, because my like I said, my parents didn't have a lot of money, and my dad was like finally admitted that he's like, fine, it was a really good idea, but he only admitted it after I qualified for Rio Olympics. He's like, fine, it
finally paid off, right?
I don't regret it anymore.
Well, I mean, and speaking of, like, what was that moment like to hear that you had qualified for Canada, or for the Rio Olympics with Team Canada, and you were going to compete on the Olympic stage in beach volleyball? What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, that was one of the cooler moments of my career so far. Probably just, I remember very clearly, like Jason Lockhead was our coach, Ben Saxon, my partner, and we were in Germany, and it was the last qualification event, and we were like not easily in the top 16, but we were like 14th maybe in the world or something for the tops, for the because the top 15, I think, made it, or it was whatever it is now. But we needed like there was like a couple teams that if they lost, we were fine. But I just remember like we didn't have a great tournament, and then we had to kind of like wait to see, because there was still a small chance that if like 3 teams ended up getting 5th or better at this event, we might not have made the Olympics. So it was just like super like, oh, what do we do now? But we watched, sure enough, like the team lost that we needed to lose. And I just remember all of us just being like, man, the most like relief, like so happy, just joy of how much work we put in basically in those 4 years from 2013 to 16. And we had Jason for, I think, 2.5 years of it. And he just kind of totally redesigned our team and made us so much better. And we went from being like a team in the mid-20s probably to like 1 year we were in the top 10 with him. I think we were finished like 8th or 9th maybe. Got a bunch of medals and became like basically a top team, one of the top teams. A lot of credit goes to him for sure. But yeah, that feeling of putting that much work in to qualify for one event is kind of crazy as an athlete, just to realize, especially after the Olympics, you're like, man, we did so much work and now it's over. And that was like 10 days and that went by really fast. And now what do we do? And that was a whole nother story, but it's just crazy how it all works basically.
Yeah, it's the games is a whirlwind for the athletes, and beach volleyball, it's a little bit more extended. It lasts the entire games. You think about some of the other sports where they get like maybe 2 days. So yeah, for the athletes, not a whole lot of time to like kind of sit in it and soak it in, because you're there for your job. You're there to make it on the podium and do the best you can. So not a lot of time to reflect. So I'm sure like afterwards, you're just like, yeah, what just happened? Like that was incredible. And how do we get back there, right?
Yep. Exactly. It was I just remember like finishing, having a tough match against the Dutch guys. They ended up bronze, I think, but lost to, and they were a really good team, but it was just like you lose and then you're just like empty, and it's hard. It's actually like, yeah, people talk about it a little bit nowadays, I guess, but I broke down a little bit for sure, being like, man, that was like 4 years of work, and now like that game felt like it went by so fast, and now we got 9th place, and now what do we do? Like, yeah, it's hard, but it's also like, that's not the cool part for me. Like going to the games is really cool. It is really cool, but like the whole part of us as a team, a squad, working through so many issues, so many tough moments, so many amazing moments throughout a 4-year period. All of that leading into that is like, that's what you remember. You remember all those times you had, getting there is like just totally worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think the general public, and even volleyball fans or Olympic fans don't necessarily like know or realize that, they don't see the behind the scenes. They don't see the whole 4 years of grinding and the sacrifices that you athletes make in that 4 years to get to that point. And like you said, to compete for 10 days, just 10 days to try to do your best and get on the podium. So I guess with that, like, could you dive into the kind of mental side of it a little bit of, maybe not necessarily like during the games, but afterwards, how did you kind of overcome that mental obstacle of coming to terms that you were okay with going 9th and that you enjoyed that experience? And it's a once in a lifetime experience for many people, and for many people don't get that experience actually. So yeah, could you talk a little bit about just kind of the mental rehab, I guess you could say, after the games?
Yep. I think, yeah, it was hard, and it took a while for it all to sink in, I would say, like to actually understand what happened, because we had events pretty quick after that. I think we had World Tour finals. We had an event in Long Beach. Actually, funny enough, I I hurt myself after the Olympics sprinting to catch a bus in Rio. It was all pouring rain, and like in Rio, if you've been, like the stones are all on the streets are all kind of like not super level, and I slipped and like sprained my leg really bad. So kind of like it was actually maybe a blessing in disguise, but it made me have a mental break and like have to like focus on like, now I need to focus on rehabbing this ankle that I just twisted. And I'm not super injury prone normally, but obviously I just have surgery. But the fact that I had like all this stuff going through my head, and then I wasn't able to enjoy the games as much after. I got to go to a few events, but I was like hobbling around. I think the main thing though is just it did take a while to kind of sink in of like what we did, and yeah, I mean, it's I don't even know, like I still don't think about it that much about being like an Olympian or being or whatever. I just kind of, the main thing that comes to mind is just the experience that we had as a team. Like just, yeah, at the games it was so cool, and like we got to play Brazil and beat Brazil there, like in front of a packed 15,000 stadium, like incredible. And they're all like hissing at you and like and it was like a 16-14 in the third kind of deal where we barely beat them, and we had a crazy pool. And I do remember a lot of those details of the games, and it was like I'll never forget a lot of that stuff for sure. But it's still, I think what made it easy to keep going and to play the next event and to get excited about potentially trying to make another run with someone is just, yeah, thinking back about how many things we had to overcome, and how difficult it is in beach volleyball to become a top 15 team to make it to the Olympics. That was probably what motivated me the most to kind of come back stronger and become a really good team again, and see what else we could basically do in the sport. I think, I don't know if that answers the question so well or not, but it's for sure it does. The Olympics, it's just because there's definitely a pretty down period for a period of time there. Especially kind of once the season was over, you're like, man, year one of another quad starts in a month, and I feel tired, and it was a long run. And then, as an athlete, you just, once you get out there again, though, you're like, okay, I just want to win this game. So you kind of comes back to you just wanting to win this next point in game, and figure it out from there. And I've managed to enjoy doing that it's been 10 full years since Rio. So the fact that I'm still going is, I probably wouldn't have thought I would still be playing by now at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, just a little bit behind the curtain of going through that too. And I think it's so easy. I'm not a high level athlete, but I imagine it's so easy to fixate on that one moment where, you don't finish where you want to finish. But happy to hear, whether that was because of the ankle or not, but happy to hear that you were able to kind of look above the trees a little bit and just look at the whole journey that you and your partner went on to get to that moment. Yeah, that's really cool. And also, like you said, just to stay hungry, to keep doing it, today, and keep trying to get back to that stage. I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's I feel so lucky that I've been able to keep doing it. For one, like financially is not easy, and then just this being in a sport and trying to keep your body right the whole time is not easy. But I just feel like lucky that my body's been able to be good enough to get me to where I am today. And the fact that LA is like the chances of us being one of the teams that go is a realistic, like, possible thing. And we could go medal, and we've medaled. Like, James and I have beaten the top teams in the world. And it's a matter of us becoming a little more consistent and learning a few more things together as a team. And that whole part of it just gets me so excited. Just the part of like, we are very good, but there's like 20% more where we can like become, try to be able to beat these Swedes and Norwegians and some of these teams that are kind of taking the world by storm a little bit. I feel like we have the tools. We have the tools to do it, I think. So that part's fun to me. It's not like if I was going into this being like, man, the best we could possibly do is like barely qualify and like maybe beat a couple teams at the games or whatever. It's like, that wouldn't be like fun at all for me. It's what's fun is seeing that with our team, I do see that we could win. Like, that's the thing. And there's, there's a lot of teams that could win. There's 20, 30 really good teams, but whoever's going to put it together the best in the next couple of years and become the most consistent and tap into like each other and figure out what you can do to become a really good team. Like, that's the main stuff. And a lot of it has to do with just how close you are, how much chemistry you have, and so that you're winning those games that are really close. Every game I feel like is like within 2 points. And we just looked at some stats from like the last couple of years, and like the points percentage won and lost compared to like the very top teams in the world is almost the same. It's just like they're winning more points when it's 19 all than we are. It's like you're at like 51, like you'll win like 49% of the points, but you're losing the match, or you're winning more points, but you're not quite winning the match. It's like little mental things that will kind of be I'm kind of going off in a tangent right now a little bit, but like just the difference makers. And that's kind of the stuff that gets me excited.
Yeah, I mean, like with that, it's just like, yeah, the margins are so small. Like, and like you said, it's who can kind of put together that consistency and be who does that will be the best team when it comes time for that moment. And so definitely super excited to watch you and James chase that goal and that dream that you both have, and happy to see that you are still competing at a high level and staying relatively healthy as well, and get to do that again, because I imagine for you that's just incredible to not only get one shot, but maybe you can get two there. That's really cool, and excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to do it 10 years later after basically sitting out for one, switching federations.
The storyline is building. That's a great storyline that we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned the match against Rio and beating Brazil, match against Brazil and beating them in Rio, on their home turf in front of the fans. Like, I imagine that's a top 5, top 10 moment for you in your career. But any other like Olympic memories stand out to you, whether that's on the court competing, or even off the court hanging out in the village, anything like that?
Yeah, I think that was one of the more fun moments in my career, I'd say. And then that pool that we were in at Rio was so crazy. We had Latvia, who was the number 1 seed, Brazil was the 2 seed, and then we were like right behind them as a 3. And then Cuba was the 4 seed, and Cuba went out and crushed everybody because nobody knew who they were. They were super good. They ended up 5th, I think, or they almost made the semi. Wow. And so we only 3 teams advanced. So we were like in this pool of death, and we lost like 17. I remember we lost like 17-15 in the third to Latvia. But before that, we beat Brazil like 16-14 in the third. And then because it was so tight, everything came down to points and ratios and sets, and we weren't sure what was going to. I didn't even know I don't know how the math all works. But I remember we were sitting in an Airbnb with Jason, our coach, and Ben, and we were sitting on the couch watching the last pool play match, which was Latvia versus Brazil. And we didn't know if we were out of pool yet because we were done, but it was going to be like all down to points. It was going to be a 3-way tie for second. And we needed something to happen with Brazil to win by a certain margin to be able to get us so that we'd be out of pool. Either that or we could have finished 4th or 2nd. We weren't really sure. But what I remember, it was like we were so pumped because, well, we were freaked out first because we were watching on the Canadian broadcast from our Airbnb, and the game finished and it was super close. And based on our calculations, we were like, we're good. We're out of pool. But then on TV, I think it was Marquise, who's like a legendary Canadian player and a buddy, but he was like, unfortunately the boys played their hearts out, but they're not going to advance out of pool based on the calculations. And then I was like, what?
Oh no.
And we were like, no. And then we redid it all. And then they came back like 30 seconds later. They're like, correction, they did make it out of school. And so like in that like minute, we had like texts coming in like crazy, being like, so sorry, you guys played so well. All these crazy things happening. We're like, are we in? Are we out? Are we out? Are we in? And then we ended up like being in as the lucky loser. And so that was kind of like a funny moment that I remember that I'll never forget. It was like hilarious. And then we ended up playing top Polish team in the first round of lucky loser, and we played amazing. It was like that night it was like maybe we had a few hours to prepare for the game, but it was like, you're lucky loser, you're playing tonight at midnight or something. Wow. We're like, okay. Because all of our games were at like 11 or 12 at night. I'm not sure if all the details are exactly right, but like, yeah, I remember being like, okay, we're in, we get to go play. And then we beat like a very good team. And that was definitely a highlight, I would say, for me. And then besides that, I think just like the cool part was like going to the different houses, taking some friends to like the Oakley house where it was like just crazy cool stuff there, and like the village, and walking around, like just like I remember there was like a tennis court there, and I was just like sitting watching Djokovic play, like warm up and play. Oh my gosh.
Right behind you.
Or like Serena Williams was making fun of me like because of the way I talked, but Canadian on the bus ride. And the opening ceremonies, I remember she was talking to me a little bit. She's like, "Oh, you sound so Canadian," or she made fun of the way I said "hey." It's like crazy kind of to like think that as a little kid, like that you'd have those experiences of meeting those people and stuff like that. So yeah, there was some cool stuff for sure.
That's, I mean, just going back to your story about watching the broadcast and then hearing that, you know, you guys have probably the pen and paper out or the dry erase board, you're doing the math, you feel good, and then you hear that and you're like, wait, what did we miss? And getting all the texts too from friends and family. Oh man, that's wild.
The whole reason is why I think that beach volleyball, they need to figure out a way to just make it so that it's just a little more simple to like, you're in this side of the bracket and you need to move your way up and figure it out. And it's like all the points and the sets, and sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out. It's just like makes it so confusing for fans. If it's confusing for us, it's got to be way more confusing for fans. So I think that they're trying to simplify that stuff. After this year, they might make some changes, but yeah, it's tricky.
I know, for me as a fan and also working for USA Volleyball as well, I need a graphic. I need some sort of display to, like, I'm a visual learner. I need something to show me, like, easy how that all works. So yeah, it'd be very welcoming if they could simplify that a little bit. Well, we've talked a little bit or teased a little bit about it, but 10 years ago or 10 years later from Team Canada, and now you've switched federations in that time as well, and now with the USA Volleyball and the U.S. Beach National Team. And I guess, just talk a little bit about that transition for you and how that was, coming from Team Canada and then over to USA.
Yeah, it was a tough decision to make at the time. Well, my partner and I were kind of, at that point, we had like a 5-year really good run, and it was like time to move on a little bit. And obviously in Canada, there's not a ton of partners to play with, for one. That's one kind of consideration. But at the time, I was living full time in the States, and my mom is American. She was born in Iowa. I spent a lot of time there growing up, but I basically was born with 2 passports. So luckily there's a rule at that time, which now you can't do it, but there's like a rule where you could sit out for 2 years. And so after 2017, I was like, man, what do I want to do here? Like in Canada, it's not as easy to make money. Sponsorships are very difficult to get. And then obviously like the federation doesn't really help you much. And so just like and plus like the tour was starting to go down a little bit in money. So it's like, for me, it was like, am I going to play FIVB for Canada for another 3-4 years and then maybe stop? Like, or, I could go switch to the US, find a good AVP partner, start playing for the country in a couple years. And plus the support is just night and day difference. In terms of like, we get support for travel and some coaching stuff and insurance. And there's just a lot of good things that can pop up. And obviously it was another kind of like bet on myself type of thing. Like, can I become a top player in that country? Why wouldn't I give it a shot and see what happens? It has nothing to do with liking one country more than the other or anything like that. And like most people really got that. There was obviously some people that were like, why would you do this and betray Canada? I'm like, well, I'm actually just trying to make a living so that my family and I, and
for sure,
I can do what I love doing for longer. Because I can tell you for sure, there's no way, if I had never been able to switch, there's no way I would still be playing. Just there was like several years there where the tour was not doing well, and I was able to at that same time play AVP, make some pretty good money there, find some sponsors, do well enough to be able to keep playing. So that was kind of the main thing. And then push myself to see how far I could take it in the sport, how ultimately to start winning AVPs, winning medals on the world tour, potentially win a medal at the Olympics. That was my main thought process going in. And it was going to be obviously a tough thing to sit out for a couple of years, but also I was pretty tired from how much the last 7 years playing for Canada, like that was a lot. And to have a couple of years at home playing AVP, getting super healthy and strong was like pretty good for me. And then basically jumping on the world tour with Theo Brunner at the time. Like him and I became the top team in the U.S. that year, or maybe like a year later or so. And so it was, yeah, I mean, it ended up working out really well pretty quickly after becoming, after getting through that sit-out period, basically creating longevity. And then for me to enjoying finding guys to play with and then become a top team in the world. That was the main reasons. Never an easy thing to do still. And it costs a lot of money to do it too. Like they charged, I think, $25K. The FIVB did to make that move. But thankfully, like Chaim Schalk and USA Volleyball were like, yeah, come, like it'd be sweet to have you, like, let's do it. So I was welcomed and got access to the gym right away, and made everything. USA Volleyball was so good about everything and made it super easy for me. And now it's crazy that I've been competing for basically, this might be like my 7th year for the U.S. I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is 2020. I started in 19. So
Yep.
yeah. Yes. At the end of 2019, I started. So basically 6 or 7 years with this country. And I love it here, and I've lived here for a long time now. And, I'm just, lucky to have done it for 2. I've had a couple of guys on the world tour be like, my Austrian buddy was like, how could you ever do that to your country? Like, switch over and play for, he's like, that would be like me going to play for Germany. I was like, I could never just live with myself. I do that. Well, my mom, I've been American my whole life. Like I'm both. I'm a dual citizen, and I wanted to keep playing volleyball. So what are you going to do?
Yep.
Oh shoot, I had something I wanted to bring up. What was it? It'll come to me. Oh, you said 2019. Yeah, 7. That just blows my mind that was 7 years ago. So long ago, because I remember it was that media day before Tokyo where we actually met. I was the last station in the interview. I was the last station in the media day. I was interviewing all the athletes, and we had met there and had a nice chat about fatherhood, I remember, and we'll get to that too, because I'm a dad now too, so we can talk dad life. But I remember that was your first time, in the USA gear, I believe, and we're getting all the photos and video and everything taken during that media day. So, that was just a nice memory that clicked into my head there.
Remember that? I remember feeling weird. I remember that. Like, doesn't feel right. Like,
Yeah.
get used to it.
That's funny. I mean, and you touched on just like the support, that you're getting now with USA Volleyball, and the USA Beach program is changing now, and we talked a little bit about that at the top there, but let's dive into it a little bit with the recent hiring of Matt Furbringer as the new men's beach volleyball head coach. April Ross came in as well to kind of oversee the program as well, and this whole beach let me make sure I get the name right. Beach Performance Collective that USA Volleyball is adapting here on the beach side. I don't know how much you've seen like changes so far or had conversations with April and Furbs, but I guess just starting off, like, what are your impressions so far of where the program is moving?
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see changes. I think the men's side especially needs to kind of adapt a little bit to what the world's doing, and create a little bit more competition within our system. And like having centralized training has been awesome so far. I haven't been experiencing it as much as the other guys, obviously, since I've been just coming back. But it's been great. I mean, April's been amazing. She's been running the sessions until Furby's ready to go. But I've been involved in like a bit of the selection process and a bit of, meetings with Spira, and just trying to give them input on what we kind of would need potentially as athletes. So it's been cool because Spira's been like very open about what he's looking for and what he thinks the program needs. But he's also been able to like ask questions straight to our faces. Like, what do you think we need? Who do you think we need, and why? And so having that open dialogue has been pretty cool, I think, because a lot of times in the past, I think volleyball has been just like, oh, you're doing it your own way, or you're doing it this way, or like you just don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So the transparency has been really nice. And then, I think it's all new. And Furbringer, he hasn't started yet in terms of with the guys, but I'm excited. He's a great guy. He's been coaching obviously a ton since he stopped playing. I think he's like super committed to making us really great again. Basically, like the program when he was playing was pretty crazy good. Like the men were really good, and he was a top player for a very long time. And it's funny, like I don't think I played him in a match ever, but I did play at the same time as him in 2000. I remember playing for Canada 2010, 11, 12, and training with him I remember training with him a bunch, training against him a bunch, and just like always had good vibes on the court. He always kind of brought good energy, and I think he will be a very useful part of the men's team. And obviously as the head coach, he's going to be someone that we lean on. And I'm sure he's going to have to kind of get caught up a little bit with where obviously how much the game has changed a little bit in the last, since he probably stopped 10 years ago or probably more. But he seems like the kind of guy that will be perfect for the spot. And seems like the kind of guy that works super hard and wants to learn. So indoor wise, he's done incredible. So I think it'll be a good fit. And just to have more coaches also to lean on with him hiring a couple assistants. And there's been a lot of guys at the beach already helping out older players, or a lot of guys that are interested in those jobs that are kind of already taking us through individual sessions, team sessions, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's awesome because I like to have people kind of talking to me from different angles, whether it's like defensive work with this coach, serving work with what this guy does or did in his career and what maybe he could help me with. I think that's pretty cool because you don't have to take everything from each coach, but I think like if you can pick and choose as an athlete, like I want to learn, like take exactly what like Casey Patterson was telling me about this, and then a Furbringer will teach me this about my passing and whatever. But I think for me as an athlete, it's good to have like more eyes watching, and then more dialogue. And we've been doing a lot more video with the support staff team, which has been super helpful as well. And I think what we had last year, we had Mike Playchek as our coach, and he's amazing coach, but it's just like us three the whole time and like working super hard, and we did really well. But just the idea of having more support, kind of helping more support, changes the way you look at it a little bit, because, I can learn from a lot of different people. And I think having that growth mindset is important. So I think the program's going to be a good spot. Hopefully we can get some more young guys that are super strong coming out of indoor or coming out of wherever. There's some good young guys in the program right now, but I think that's kind of the need, is that like we need to get guys pushing us, and then the more they can push us, the better we'll get, the better they will get. And the whole program will get better from there. It's not just going to become the best program again in the world overnight, but I think for sure, it's gonna be in a good spot. Give us a few years. Hopefully going into LA, we'll have two really strong teams representing. Hopefully we're one of them, and then get a chance for a couple medals, and then continue to build from kind of the ground up with young guys. And who knows, maybe I'll be involved at that point too, because I think it's a pretty cool spot to kind of help with the young guys after in whatever way.
Yeah, it's cool that you're kind of on the ground floor of this program too, and can kind of, be a part of it, but still at the same time help grow and leave it in a good place for the future for those younger guys that you, like you said, are coming through the program too. But I'm not an expert on beach volleyball. I don't know how, the coaching works for partnerships or anything like that, but it seems like it kind of makes sense to, like you said, have all the resources, at your disposal, all the coaching staff that can kind of, maybe one coach is focusing on, your defensive work, like one coach is focusing on your blocking or attacking. I think it was, it kind of clicked in an interview I had with Karch, or maybe it was John. I can't remember if it was John Sparrow or Karch, but they talked about, their coaching staff. They have an offensive coordinator kind of and a defensive coordinator, and they have someone focused on middles. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize it kind of worked like that in volleyball. Obviously, I watch football, so I know that works there, but it clicked for me and it made sense. So it's cool to see that the beach side's kind of adapting that, and hopefully we see, like you said, the strength of the program is just elevated that much more once we get to LA and we can see those results. Certainly exciting, and I mean, two great people to kind of lead that program in April Ross and Matt Furbringer. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see, and I'm excited for it too.
I think the only thing I would add too is that it's cool because a lot of the time in the past we've been just on our own, so we're not like national team, like wanting the other guys to win and like be on the same page. But since we're like day in and day out training with the other top guys, it's like if we do well, that means it's good for other teams, and if other teams do well, it's good for us. And so it's way easier to see how it can be a collective thing where if Chase and Miles get a podium, that's like a really good thing for us. It helps the program. We're all working with the same coaches. And if they do well, that means we have the potential to do just as well because or better. Like we're all doing it the same similar way. So it gives you confidence. And you see that in the World Tour a little bit. Like, I mean, Swedes are the perfect example, but the top Swedish team dominating. And then all of a sudden the even younger Swedish team, based on just training with them, working with them, they get the confidence based on the fact that they're seeing their guys dominate. And they're like, well, we can beat these guys in practice. And it's a similar thing that happened to me and Ben back in the day when we started playing with Jake and Casey. It's like they're beating us down, but now we're starting to beat them, and they're doing so well in the World Tour. But like, it just creates confidence as a whole. So having that, we can all work together and build more of a team. And Furbringer's perfect for that because obviously the indoor stuff is very similar. So yeah, it should be sweet.
What are you and James kind of hoping to improve on ahead of LA, and how do you think, this new collective, this new centralized program is going to help you kind of reach that goal?
I mean, we've got a lot of things that we need to get better at, whether it's passing, setting, if we look at our statistics, like offensively, we're basically at the level of the top teams in the world in terms of like transition offense, and our offense in general. We're very close. I think defensively, we need to get a little better block D. And so that's will be really nice to start working with someone like Furby, like him working with James on his block, see if we can get a couple more blocks a match. And then the same thing, like there's going to be hopefully a defensive specialist kind of like we're talking about hired. And obviously I've already been working with a bunch of guys, but having someone that can help my defense working around his block. And then as he gets more aggressive at the net, like how do my moves change? What do we want to run in certain situations? And then on top of all that, you've got like three guys that are three people, who knows, are going to be traveling with us. And we're getting game plans that are like tailored to which team we're playing. And then we can kind of have that looked at as a collective thing and see what we need to do to beat this German team today. And I think it'll help a lot having all of the different, as long as we don't like get oversaturated with like too much information. I think finding what works for us and each team will be huge, but like, our main focuses are to become, 5 to 10% better defensively. If we make a few more stops a match, we're going to win a lot of those games that are really close. I think with the implementation of, there's going to be, obviously specific defensive blocking and defensive coach positioning things. It'll help us to hopefully get 5% better this year, 5% better the year after. And then obviously, like, we do want to get better at everything else as well, serving wise, passing, setting, more consistent from the baseline, but then also like scoring more points when I'm back there. And because obviously we know James can rip a bunch of aces, but then we're also trying to work on the consistency of that. At times, maybe not going for the ace, but at times going for an 80% that still will give us in a really good position defensively to score. And we got Brian Hurler, who's really good numbers.
Yeah. Love Brian.
He sits in with our video meetings now, and he's bringing up a lot of different ideas, and we're asking him questions. So I think as a whole, it's just way more like team centralized than what it was before. And so it should hopefully create, and we're talking like, we want to get, if we get 1 or 2 points a match, that's huge for the sport for us. So that's the goal. And if we can get anything better than that, that's great. But even if we were to get 1 more point a match from what we had last year, we would have won so many games. So I like where it's at and where we're going, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I think I said it earlier, but yeah, the margins just seem so small in USA in not USA in volleyball, but in the sport, and yeah, just that 1% or that, like you said, 1 or 2 more points can really shift a match and in your favor. Or vice versa the other way too. So yeah, exciting to see this program and where it ends up in a couple years, and it's cool that it's starting now, with a couple years to kind of grow into LA 28. So yeah, best of luck to you and James as well, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see where you guys are, through the program when it comes time to start looking at that qualification for LA. We've been having such a amazing conversation, incredible, that I realize we're over an hour now. So we're at time. But I want to throw in one question before I let you go here, if you have time. But just kind of want to talk about, first of all, do you have time for one little
question?
we talked about it a little bit earlier, but just fatherhood. I would love to hear, just for you, what's your favorite part about being a dad?
I mean, that's the most important question of the whole day, I think. When did you become a dad, and what do you have? Sorry.
I have a son. He's 2.5 years old. His name's Teller. Yes, that was right before, a little bit before Paris, I guess.
I was going to that.
Yeah, that's right.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's just so much fun.
I would say,
yeah.
I'd say, yeah, sorry, I'll answer the question. Too, like,
Go ahead.
It's the most rewarding thing in the world for sure. And just, yeah, I think just seeing my daughter, like, her name's Koa, like seeing her grow and seeing, now that she's in grade 1 now, she's 6. It's hard to put it into words, but it's just, there'll never be anything that brings me more joy than just seeing her have fun and grow and learn things, and seeing, like, when she figures out how she's starting to, like, she knows math pretty well now. It's like when you can see it click in her head, and you're like, yeah, right. When you see that happen, you're like, man, this is so cool. And like the amount of things in her life that she's going to have, that where she has that feeling, it makes me like feel so much joy as a dad, just to be like, man, like, we brought her into this world, and I'm going to do whatever I can to support her forever. And I think creating those experiences for her, it will be like one of my main priorities for sure, my whole life. But I mean, besides that, just being like the best dad possible, like, she's going to start sports pretty soon, and then hopefully coach a ton. And yeah, I think I think any dad will tell you, it's just like, as I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like seeing the little day-to-day changes and how much she grows up. She's like a real human now. It's just crazy. It's just so cool. And I'm not doing a very good job describing it, but it's just, yeah, my favorite.
Doing it with your face. Yeah. Just the smile that you have on your face. That says it all.
Yeah. Perfect.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 6. Yeah.
6. Okay, man, that's awesome.
You got lots to look forward to, because from 2 to 6 is the craziest. Yeah. It's just, they grow and learn. And once they go to school, it's like, oh, like, I know all this now because my teacher taught me this, or my friends are doing this. And
yeah. Oh man.
yeah. You just want them to be healthy and have an enjoyable life. It's super exciting. Got swimming in a couple hours, so it'll be fun. She
swimming lessons.
I take her swimming twice a week, and she's just,
so cool.
All she does is laugh the whole time and just work on her backstroke and just giggle with the teacher. It's like an individual session, and it's just watching her do that. It's just, I could just watch her all day. And you totally get why parents are just like so involved with what sports and like wanting to see what they're develop, and you totally get it once you have one. Basically, that's what I would say.
Yeah, just the joy that you can see on their face, and kind of just see, the same things you've seen your entire life, but through a different lens, and just how much they're enjoying it and having fun. And those little wins are just so rewarding. And my son just, not just, he picked it up really quick, but really good on the little Strider bikes.
Oh, nice.
Balance bikes, but he is just flying down the street now and doesn't crash at all. It's just amazing to watch, and how much joy that brings him just to kind of ride on that bike and around the neighborhood. So it's so much fun, and like you said, rewarding every day. It's great.
That's all we can say.
That's all you can say. Yeah, gonna bring tears to my eyes just thinking about it. So let's close this out here before the waterworks start. Chaim, thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation, and looking forward to many more conversations down the road as you and James chase your goals and ahead of LA, and wish you both the best too. But before I let you go, just where can listeners follow you on social media or elsewhere as you kind of go through this journey?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is super fun. You can follow me just Chaimer, Chaimer, on Instagram. I don't really do much else, many other platforms. So that's basically it. Besides that, we just signed with Clear Street, so that's a pretty exciting new thing that we just did yesterday. So we're pretty pumped about having a good sponsor on board with our team, and we keep pushing on. And this was super fun, so we'll have to do it again someday. But I'm sure Steven, we'll see you on the beach sometime soon. For sure. Yeah, looking forward to it. And thank you again, and enjoy those swim lessons. Sounds good, man. Have a good day.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Yep. Bye. Normally, we try to keep our interviews, our conversations on the podcast a little under an hour, try to keep it under an hour. But, I was having such a great time talking with Chaim, and I just lost track of the time completely. But, and of course, I had to sneak in some dad talk at the end there, and I think he enjoyed that as well. I certainly enjoyed it. Love talking all things dad with another dad too, and kind of getting his perspective too. Just a little taste of what his life is like, as a professional athlete, also balancing being a dad too. So, Chaim, always great to talk to you, and it was great to catch up. But in our conversation, it was great to hear his thoughts, his insight on the new unified training model that the U.S. Beach National Team program is moving into, under the leadership, of course, of April Ross and Matt Furbringer. He was pretty energized about it, and it sounded like he's been involved kind of from the beginning in helping shape the program. So certainly exciting to hear his thoughts. Still a long road ahead until we get to LA 2028, but the program is certainly in good hands with Chaim and the other athletes involved, and of course under the leadership of two incredible athletes in themselves, but two incredible leaders too, with April Ross and Matt Furbringer. It's going to be exciting to see how that program continues to grow into LA, and just the success that we're going to see on the international stage with that program in place. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But thank you again to Chaim for his time, and best of luck to him and his partner James Shaw as they begin their season on the Pro Tour. Listeners, as always, thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any feedback or ideas for future guests that you want to hear from, or even topics that you want to hear about, reach out to us at the USAB show at usab.org. Follow and leave a comment on your go-to podcast platform as well. It really helps our podcast grow and reach new listeners. And of course, be sure to go check out our video episodes as well on YouTube. But until next time, that's it for this week's episode. You're listening to the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball.
This has been the USA Volleyball Show with Steven Munson. Produced by Curtis Ward. Our content producer is Laura Fawcett. Our marketing lead is Bree Jaycox. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share with your friends. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the USA Volleyball Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts.